Good afternoon, classmates. Aaron Mossman here, and we are going to review a subset of the anxiety disorders today. Specific phobias, as they're called in the DSM-5, and specific isolated phobias is what they're called in the ICD-10. It almost reads like after they categorized all the other anxiety disorders, they just kind of swept up what was left on the table and threw them in a box and said, hey, we'll call those specific phobias. It's not that random. There are, in fact, two very unique characteristics of this group. Number one is that none of these specific phobia diagnoses have any other significant etiologies. They are, in fact, just random conditioned phobias. The second unique characteristic about these is that it's not a set list, because phobias change. As cultures change, as our society changes, there are things that might have been a common phobia 100 years ago that aren't today, right? Think about auto-driving cars. 10 years ago, there wasn't a phobia related to auto-driving cars because that technology wasn't even available yet. But I'm sure that by now, somebody's had a bad experience in an auto-driving car and has developed a specific phobia. Not because auto-driving cars are on a list, but because their phobia meets the diagnostic criteria that we have set for us. All right, the first criteria is marked fear or anxiety about that specific object or situation. Second is that phobic object or situation almost always provokes an immediate fear or anxiety response. And the person who's suffering from it actively avoids or endures with intense fear or anxiety when they do have to interact in that object or situation. Okay? This one might be the most important, and that is that the fear or anxiety is out of proportion to the actual danger. We all have a natural fear of spiders, right? But that doesn't mean we jump up from the chair and run screaming from the room. That's a disproportional response to the actual fear. Last criteria is a duration. It has to last for at least 6 months. Think about the first time you rode a roller coaster, right? There was fear or anxiety there. That doesn't mean you have a phobia, though, because each time you ride the roller coaster, that fear or anxiety lessens, and hopefully by the time you get to the end of 6 months, you're not experiencing that at the level of a disproportionate fear. The DSM-5 goes on to break these down into a set of subcategories. You have the animal category. Maybe it's spiders, maybe it's snakes, maybe it's big barking dogs, whatever that is. The second is natural environment. Okay, we've had some heavy weather here recently that caused a lot of damage and impacted quite a few of us right here in the class. Third category is blood, injection, injury, a lot of medical related things. Some people have a phobia about like splinters or broken bones. Those would all be categorized in this section. The fourth one is situational phobias. Okay, maybe that's in large groups of people. Maybe that's a person that maybe would be fine in a small pool, but if you put them out in the middle of a lake, they would have a problem with that. That's a situational phobia. Last category is, again, the things that kind of don't fit in any of the other areas, they end up in this other category. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's raw food. Maybe it is textures. I know somebody who has an anxiety issue when they wear clothes that they don't like the texture of. One unique thing I want you to notice when you look at all these subcategories is that there's nothing here that deals with people, okay? Either individual people or specific groups of people, like maybe law enforcement or soldiers or something like that. All of those phobias are defined elsewhere in the DSM-5 and as a general rule are not listed among the specific phobias. Anyway, the video I want to show you here is a sketch video from a British comedy show, kind of like Second City or Saturday Night Live. And the premise here is that this is a support group for specific phobias.